Hi everybody, Jim Arroyo here, President of the Yavapai County Preparedness Team and Group Leader of the Oath Keepers of Yavapai County, still the largest active group of Oath Keepers in the United States. Today we're going to be discussing one of my favorite subject matters. A lot of you former military guys will understand this a lot better, but we're going to be talking about PSYOPs, psychological operations. And I want to plug a book that I think is a major piece of information, and one of the best. I've just started reading this, but I know quite a bit about what's in it. This book is called 5GW. It's a Citizen's Guide to Fifth Generation Warfare, and it was written by Lieutenant General Michael Flynn and also Boone Cutler. He was a sergeant in the United States Army, and they worked together on this really well done. It's written for the civilian community so you can understand what psychological operations are all about and the type of warfare that is used in this new system that the Chinese are using, that our government will use against its own population when the time comes. But fifth generation warfare is dealing with psychological operations and not so much kinetic operations. So highly recommend, look this up. You can get it on Amazon. Get this book and read it, and you'll understand a little better about what I'm talking about. So let's talk a little bit about some movies that have come out and one that's about to come out. Just recently, one of my people mentioned that there's a new movie out on Netflix. It's called Leave the World Behind. Really good people in it. It was a fairly decent movie, not the greatest movie in the world as far as entertainment value, but it gets you to think. But the thing that got me the most was in the very beginning is that this movie, the executive producers were Barack and Michelle Obama. And that got my attention right away. So Julia Roberts is in the movie, Ethan Hawke, and they play a couple that gets caught in an event that is a combination of possible cyber attack and an EMP attack, where planes are falling out of the air, or there's an attack in New York City. This takes place in the Hamptons. And this movie has been discussed all over talk radio. Dan Bongino has been all over it. The movie is a very leftist view of what all of this is because it was woke. You know, there was a lot of racism in there about how bad white people are and stupid crap like this. But the idea of the film was these people left the city to go on a couple of day vacation, and now they're not going to be able to go back because the city's in chaos, everything is coming apart. And this was dealing with a cyber attack, and you know, over the last couple of weeks, there's been cyber attacks all over the United States. There's been problems in Hawaii and Texas and all over. We've had this happen before. Cyber warfare is nothing new. It's been around since we've invented computers. But what cyber warfare does is it causes major disruption. It can cause supply chain disruption. It can cause traffic signals to go down, cause transportation problems, all kinds of different issues. Because let's face it, guys, our society is 100% computerized. We can virtually do very little anymore without computers. And one little glitch and it throws everything into chaos. Part of this Hollywood issue with these films, and the other film I'm going to tell you about, definitely go and take a look at Netflix and watch Leave the World Behind. It'll give you an idea of what's going to be coming. But the next one that was just released, there's only trailers out on it. It's called Civil War. And a lot of you may have already heard about it. Go onto YouTube and just plug in Civil War USA and it'll come up. And there'll be a couple of minute trailers on it, and everybody's discussing this because this issue has been around for a while now. Our organization has been training our people to be prepared to get out of the way of a civil war because we know this is coming. And we have had numerous interviews with journalists from all over the world, especially last election cycle, and they wanted to know about what our organization was doing about the election and the potential for civil war in the United States. I mean, this has just been going on and on. Trust me, in April of 2024, it's going to be the end of April when this movie's released, allegedly the 26th of April, day after my birthday. Happy birthday to Jim. So this is going to be really interesting because Hollywood has always produced some type of film where you can go back and say, hey, this major event happened, and boy, Hollywood did a movie about that 20 years ago or 10 years ago, and it's nothing unusual. I believe right now that this film, Civil War, that's going to come out in April, is a major psyop to get everybody riled up, because I believe the Democrats know they're going to lose this election. They're going to get smoked by Donald Trump. He's so far ahead in the polls that the only real option is to create an event, something that will cause a potential for civil unrest, civil war, a potential for martial law, so that they can cancel the election and remain in power. And this whole thing is not far-fetched at all. This is a potential possibility. So Hollywood has always been involved in this. Here's another issue. The mainstream media, okay? Most of you have heard about Operation Mockingbird, put together by the Central Intelligence Agency. And you can see examples of this. Rush Limbaugh used to put out montages, he called them. And it was every single news agency saying basically the exact same thing on the exact same day, and not a coincidence. And it's still happening. You're hearing them all say the same exact thing. Thus, Operation Mockingbird. This is nothing unusual. It's been going on for years. The United States government has been running operations in the psychological warfare area against the American people to get you to think a certain way, to get you to believe a certain way, and to get you to do something you probably normally wouldn't do. You can study the Hegelian dialectic. That's a great one. Watch that. Look at the information online on what that means. Hegel had it all figured out. We've been using that ever since it was created. All of this is leading us down a very dangerous path, because the American people are very easy to manipulate using the media, using films and Hollywood, and getting you to do something or to think a certain way. And if you want another example of that, just look at what has happened since the Palestinians, more realistically as Hamas, attacked Israel. And look at the anti-Semitism within the United States, how rapidly that just exploded onto the scene. All over the world, everyone started to turn against Israel. And they blamed Israel for all of the problems and why Hamas attacked them in the first place. That is starting to change, but in this country, on college campuses, college professors are indoctrinating your children and grandchildren in the universities to be anti-Semitic. This is going back to the 1930s in Nazi Germany. This is just a replay of a same old technique that's been used before. So there's another example of being led down a really bad pathway. So guys, psychological operations are dangerous. They're designed to manipulate an enemy force to do things or to disenfranchise them or to get them unmotivated to fight. It's a very dangerous technique. And my concern is, and many others in the veterans in the intelligence community will admit, that these techniques have been used against the American people. And PSYOPs are not a game. It is definitely something that can cause major problems for us as American citizens. And let's face it, what is the goal of the New World Order but to eliminate our rights, destroy the Constitution, enslave us, destroy our money system, create a central bank digital currency and a social credit system, just like China's doing. Did not Klaus Schwab, I've mentioned this before, but Klaus Schwab said we need to do what China is doing to have social order in the world. And it's all socialism and communism, every bit of it. It's all to control you. And again, those types of things, when they make those statements at the Davos big convention with all the New World Order pukes get together and have their little meeting, that's all a psyop. That is all to indoctrinate people to get them to move in a specific direction. And they're very happy with how the Chinese have been able to do it. And you've seen examples of this when the Chinese have shut down people's bank accounts and you suddenly see thousands of people in the streets in front of the banks demanding to know why their cell phones aren't allowing them to access their money. And this is a way of controlling people. This is something that we will see a lot in the very near future because we are heading into one of the most volatile election cycles I think this country has ever had. We've never seen anything like this before, where a former president was running against an incumbent and leading in the polls, and there is an outright concerted effort to destroy that person. And what they're doing to Donald Trump right now with all of the trials and creating all of these false accusations against him just to tie him up and try to bankrupt him is just unconscionable. But they're not going to be ending there. There's more to this. There are only a few options the New World Order would have. One, they need to completely eliminate Donald Trump by putting him in jail. Two, they have to remove him from the face of the earth, and you know what that's about. Or three, they have to create a situation whereby we just declare martial law the same way that happened in Ukraine. Zelensky said, hey, we're in a war. We're under attack by the Russians. We're just going to cancel the elections. And no one said a word. Okay? The United States has been at war before. We've been attacked before. There was no reason to ever not hold an election. But this time around, I'm thinking that's the direction they're looking, and that's the possibility that we could face. And I can tell you this from talking to people out there in the political world. Our organization, the Lions of Liberty, is our political action group. We're talking to people, and we're hearing it everywhere, that if they cancel this election, that we will go into a state of civil war. No two ways about it. There are people out there that are just fed up with everything that's going on, and it only takes one loose cannon to go off to kick this thing into full motion. And that's where we end up in a kinetic war. Right now, it's all psychological. There has been some gunfire and there has been some problems, but you saw what Antifa and BLM were capable of doing during the last election cycle, and when they're burning cities to the ground and injuring people and killing people in the streets. Nothing unusual there. You think they're not going to do it again, that they're not primed and ready to go and training and getting their equipment together and being ready to operate under these conditions? Absolutely they are. Be ready. This is where your situational awareness is going to need to kick in. As this starts to unfold, you need to be careful while you're out there. We're encouraging everybody to vote. That is critical. You've got to vote. I know it looks like it's a waste of time and it's not going to accomplish anything, but we have to exhaust all possibilities before this country comes apart at the seams. And whoever is going to kick off a potential kinetic civil war in the United States, the rest of us are going to have to deal with the aftermath. And I think this film, I've seen the trailers already. Go and watch the trailers. It's going to give you just a taste of what you're going to be looking at when this all comes apart. And that's what our future holds for us. So there you have it, guys. That's what I have for you. I highly recommend go to our website, YCPT.org. Look at the information that we have there. Again, we're not training you to fight in a civil war. We are training you to survive it, to get out of the way, to be prepared to take care of your family, your friends, your neighborhoods, and have everything you need: food, water, weapons, ammunition, medical supplies, communications, shelter, security. All of that has to play a role, and we have areas on our website that cover all of these things. If you're local, come to our meetings at the Prescott Vibes. We're going to be meeting again in January, 2nd and 4th Saturdays. We're going to be putting out a lot of critical information as this starts to unfold. So we hope to see you there. If you can't be there, watch them on video. Go to Rumble. Janet does the videos for us. She'll have them up and running as soon as they're available within a day or so. So that's it, guys. Be careful out there, and we'll talk to you on the next one.